Hello and welcome to this video. Today we're going to take a look at the Breville Barista Express Impress, and we are going to make a whole bunch of drinks with it. I'm going to give you all the tips that I have on using this machine, and let's just see how it works. I've already got the machine all warmed up. It actually feels pretty warm on top right now. I've pulled a shot just to make sure that the portafilter is also nice and heated up. That's really important for making a good shot. You can see it's steaming a little bit. So I'm going to dump this and start with our first drink. Another thing is you want to make sure that this is nice and clean in between shots. So you can use a little brush for that, or you can use a rag. So what we're going to start off with is a tasty truncated drink. It's called a Ristretto. So what that is just a really short espresso shot. If you didn't know already, espresso, it can be done in recipes. So if you have, for example, what fits in this basket, and this is the double basket, it's right around 16 grams, 17 grams. Now, if you want to do a recipe of a normal espresso, that will be 1 part in to 2 parts out. So 17 grams in to 34 out. A Ristretto is about a 1-to-1, right around there. So then we're going to want 1 part in, 1 part out. Let's just go ahead and make it. I've got a handy dandy scale with me, and the scale is really nice to have for doing these recipes. You can see it's got a timer right there. The grams go to a resolution of 0.1, which is quite nice. So what we're going to do first is just measure out our portafilter. It's 450 grams, right around a pound. And we're going to measure out how much we get for grounds in here. Now I'm using Lavazza decaf beans, and I'm at a grind of 13. So if it comes out a little too slow or a little too fast, we might have to adjust the grind, but 13 is right in the middle of the wheel. That's where we're going to start. Now this machine is it's actually my wife's favorite machine for the reason that it's pretty clean. It does the grinding for you, and when you tamp it, you keep this area pretty nice and neat. So let's go ahead and do it. What else is nice is, based on the depth of this plunger, it knows here about how much it's got in the basket. So it's aiming for this middle line right here with the smiley face on it. If I press this again, it's going to put just a little more in there, and look at that, we're at the green smiley face. So let's see what we got out here. 17.7 grams. So that's just over half an ounce. And that's what the puck looks like. Already prepared for us. It's quite easy. So then all we gotta do is stick it in. I'm gonna use the scale just to see what we get out. I'm gonna put my cup underneath there, tear out my scale, and let's go to town. I'm pressing the double button there. I'm just gonna stop it when I see about 18 grams out. So there it comes. The grind looks a little too fine. As you see, it's taken a while for it to come out. We are in the espresso range here, but what I'm going to do for the next shot is open up the grind just a little bit. Maybe 2 notches. Okay. Well, it stopped anyway on its own, actually at exactly 17.7. So that's a Ristretto right there. You can see that that is a very short espresso. That's going to be really, really intense. Let's see how it tastes. Wow, that's intense. That's going to be too intense, I think, for most people. Got some definitely dark chocolate notes in there. It's very pungent, spicy. That is a Ristretto, and I would say let's go ahead and move on and make just a standard espresso. I'm going to open up the grind a little bit. Oh, espresso is a little dirty. And then what I'm going to do is steam a little milk to make this into an espresso macchiato. People ask about that sometimes. So here we go. I'm going to go from 13 on the dial to 15. All right. So you got actually a little bit too much in there this time, because since we're grinding a little bit more coarsely, we're going to get more in the basket, a higher volume. So that's something to keep in mind. But let's just give this a shot here and see what the espresso looks like coming out. So hopefully this time it will flow a little faster. And here we go. I'm also going to hold this down this time just so that it doesn't stop prematurely. You can use this machine, you can override it in manual just by holding down the button. And another cool thing about holding the button in is that you can pre-infuse for that whole time. So what that means is it's going to send water onto the puck at a more gentle pressure. That's what pre-infusion is. So I'm pre-infusing and now I'm going to let go. This time it's coming out more as you would expect. Looks like a good flow rate there. Yep, that's looking better. And this time I'm gonna go for 35 grams out. That is a recipe of 1 to 2, meaning 17 in, 35 out. 32, 35. Very nice. All right, so that's what that guy looks like. That looks like, for me, a more palatable espresso. Looks pretty good. Let's give this one a little sip. That's delightful. That's balanced out better, smoother, less intense, a little bit less pungent, still spicy, and still got nice chocolate flavor in there. That's more what I like right there. So Ristretto espresso. Next, what I want to make is my wife would like to have an Americano. So we're going to do that. And something to keep in mind is you can make either an Americano or a long black. They're really the same thing, except for with an Americano, you're putting the shot in first and the water on top. And with the long black, it's the opposite way. Now, I think it's nicer to do long black because that way you're doing the water first, and then you can just dump the espresso in, and it's a little bit cleaner. So I'm just going to flip this switch here on the side to the right, and then I get my hot water. And you can see it shoots out of there, it sputters a bit. Because it is so hot, it does sputter a little bit. All right, that looks fine to me. Good volume there. I'm just going to dump the espresso in, and then we got ourselves a long black. Just like that. It does also maintain a little bit more crema on top. It's thin at this point, but if you put a fresh shot right on top of that hot water, then it maintains that crema even better, and that's really nice. So I'm going to go give this away. And next, we're going to steam some milk, make a macchiato out of this, and I'm going to make a latte macchiato for myself. Jelly beans. All right, let's go ahead and steam some milk now. And after we steam the milk, I'm going to pull another shot here. So I've got about 250 milliliters of milk, or 9 ounces, something like that. To steam milk, all you got to do is flip the switch on the side this way, and then we're going to let it release the condensation inside, and then we're going to start with our milk steaming. It does take a little bit of time to get heated up. All right, that's pretty good. So here we go. Now what you want to do first is, in the beginning, put the whole of the steam wand right at the top of the milk. So you want to put the tip right at the top to inject air in there. And you want to put it off to one side as well so that you can get a whirlpool going. It's kind of the same effect in the bathtub if you got the water faucet, and if you just put it towards the edge of the bathtub, you'll see the water circle around. It's the same thing here. So after we've introduced some milk in there, then you can dip the tip in a little deeper to get that all nice and mixed up, homogenized, and incorporated well. And then just keep steaming until it reaches a nice hot temperature on your hands. When it's just getting too comfortable to hold, then you can stop. Okay, so I would say that's good right there. Don't forget to wipe off the steam wand tip. You want to do that right away. And you heard that. What the machine just did is it cooled itself down automatically. So that's really nice. You don't have to think about that. See, here I got some really delightful milk here. And to turn this ristretto into a macchiato, just put a little bit in there. Oh, I missed. Just like that. Now you've got basically a mark at the top, and that is an espresso macchiato or a ristretto macchiato. So that looks quite delightful to me. Now, I want to make for myself a latte. This is one of my favorite drinks. I mean, oh, look at just how silky that milk is. Ooh, really nice. And now when you make a latte macchiato, what you want to do is let this sit for a little bit and then put an espresso shot on top. Nice and clean. So now we're going to go ahead, do our next dose. Let's see where we at. Oh, green, very nice. Put this in the machine. And now you can do it one of two ways. You can first pull into an espresso glass, but this one is dirty, and then dump that here on top. Or you can just pull the shot right on top if you want. Either way works fine, so I'm just going to do that. Here we go. Now it's going out pretty nice, and it's going to stratify down into the milk, and I think that is tasty. Oh yeah. Okay, looks good. All right. So that is what my latte macchiato looks like. Oof, delightful. Even got a cute design on the top, if you can see that. Very nice. Just takes a bit of practice with the milk steaming to get it nice and silky. Let me give this a taste. Ooh, delightful. That is nice. All right, what I want to do next, and probably last, is just make a standard cappuccino. And you know, people sometimes complain. They say that's not a cappuccino anymore. What you're going to make next, that's a flat white or whatever. You know what? Tomato. Right, what I'm going to do is pull a shot into this cup here, and I'm going to steam the milk nice and silky as before, and I'm going to try to pour latte art. Right, so therefore the milk has to be nice and silky. It's got to be smooth. In a traditional cappuccino, the milk is like really frothy and doesn't have much texture. So I prefer to do something that's nice and silky. That's what we're going to do next. Alright. Again, you see how simple it is, that puck prep. All you do is press the button, press the lever, and you're good to go. It's really, really simple on this machine, and that's why it scores so many points in this household. Oh, and by the way, I'm using a bottomless portafilter here, which is really cool. That way you can see how it looks coming out. Very neat. This time, I'm also going to do a pre-infusion. I'm going to start the timer, and I'm going to stop it at about 30 grams, or maybe 25 even, to make it nice and stout and intense, which should help to make a prettier design. So let's see. So what I kind of like to do is just hold the button down and keep holding it for the pre-infusion until I can see some beads of espresso come out. So I'm kind of using my phone here as a mirror. And then, oh, I can see it coming out now. And then I just let go. So that's what a bottomless extraction looks like. I'm at 25, 28. Oh. Shut it off just a little bit late that time, but that's okay. So here we got a nice looking espresso extraction there. Now we're going to steam some milk. So I'm going to shift this over to the steam side. Here you can see some of that condensation coming out. I'll use some of that water for cleaning up, why not? Now here's a question that I get quite often. If you can listen, people ask, what is that sound? Why is it making that goofy sound? Is my machine broken? It's not broken. The machine is totally fine. All that's happening is that the pump is putting little spritzes of water up into the thermal block inside, and it's flash heating it on demand. So those are just little pump spurts that you hear. So again, I'm doing the same thing here, where I'm just letting the milk here kind of flow in a whirlpool. I've already injected some air, and right now I'm incorporating it. I'm homogenizing the milk, and it's getting really nice and silky. You can tell just by how the milk moves and how it looks, if it starts to get shiny at the top. And basically just at the end, when you swirl it, you can just see how viscous it is. And that's how you know that you got some nice silky milk. Okay. So I did end up getting some really good milk here. And for pouring latte art, I mean, this is a different story. The milk is good enough to do that, but the latte art part, that requires a whole lot of practice. Okay, but I was able to make a really nice looking cappuccino there. This time in particular worked out well, and that's part of the fun of using these machines, is just practicing making a tasty espresso, a tasty latte macchiato, a tasty cappuccino or flat white in this case, or a tasty ristretto macchiato. Really nice, and something I look forward to every morning. It's just a good time. So yeah, those are basically my tips for using this machine. Keep an eye here on the dial. If it's coming out too slow, just coarsen the grind by going up in size on the dial numbers, or if it's running too fast and you have to go the other direction, get smaller. You also should use ideally fresh beans. That's going to also help, because the beans themselves, they provide a lot of that resistance to the incoming pressured water. And if your beans are too old, they just cannot provide the pressure anymore. So use fresh beans. That's important. As far as the rest is concerned, you saw how easy it is here. Just press the dose button and tamp, and then it tells you, if you're at the right level. It's really quite simple. You want to use a scale at least to kind of start off with, so that you know what your ratios are. I think that's really important. If you want to do a standard espresso, do a 1-to-2 ratio, 17 grams in, 35 out, and then you ought to get a pretty balanced shot. So keep those things in mind. These scales are not expensive. They're nice to have, not just for coffee making, but for baking and other stuff too. They're handy. So yeah, anyway, I hope that you guys liked the video. I hope it was helpful. And until next time, I say happy coffee drinking and happy espresso drinking. Bye now.